Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. We've got another brand new interesting story to share with you today, so let's begin. My name is Lucas, and this is the story of how I learned the hard way that sometimes the person you love the most can take you for granted until it's too late. Sophie and I met in our early 20s. Back then, we were inseparable, one of those couples that people looked at and said, yeah, they're made for each other. We had that kind of love that felt effortless. Late-night drives, deep conversations, just two people completely lost in each other. When we got married, it felt right. We had dreams, big ones. Traveling, building a life together, maybe even starting a family down the road. And for a while, everything was perfect. But, life happens. I was building my business from the ground up, putting in long hours, making sacrifices. But no matter how busy I got, Sophie was always my priority. I made time for her. Whether it was small surprises, random date nights, or just sitting down and talking after a long day, I always made sure she knew she mattered. And at first, she appreciated it. She was proud of me, supportive, and my biggest cheerleader. But slowly she started changing. At first it was little things, complaining that she wanted more me time, saying she needed to focus on herself. And honestly, I supported that. We all need space to grow. But then it became something else. She started talking about putting herself first. And at first I thought she meant self-care, like working out, reading more, and doing things that made her happy. But that's not what she meant. What she really meant was doing whatever she wanted, regardless of how it affected our marriage. She stopped trying. She didn't care about our plans. She barely even asked about my day. But at the same time, she still expected me to treat her like she was the most important person in the world. It was like she wanted all the benefits of marriage without having to actually be a wife. At first, I told myself that this was just a rough patch. Every marriage has ups and downs, right? So I did what any loving husband would do. I tried harder. I avoided conflicts as much as I could. If something upsets me, I will first try to talk about it, but if it gets to a point of escalation instead of resolution, I will swallow it down instead of arguing. I started surprising her with gifts, little things I knew she liked, flowers, perfume, even that expensive handbag she had been eyeing for months. Anything to remind her that I still cared, that I was still here. But none of it made a difference. She'd thank me sometimes, but there was no real emotion behind it. No genuine excitement, no appreciation, just a half-hearted smile before she moved on to something else, usually her phone. When I heard her say she needed space, that she needed to find herself, at first I didn't question it. I thought, okay, maybe she's just figuring things out. So I gave her the room she asked for. I stopped trying to pull her close. I let her go out more, let her have her nights out, let her do whatever she felt she needed. But months later, this doesn't help. She became more and more self-absorbed, like she was the main character in some kind of story where I was just a background character, someone who was there to serve her, not to be loved by her. She started acting like she deserved better, like she was settling by being with me. And I'll be honest, that hurt. I watched the woman I fell in love with slip further and further away because she convinced herself that she could do better than me. When you love someone who doesn't value you, it messes with your head. You start questioning yourself, wondering if maybe they're right. Maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you're the problem. I spent so many nights staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out what changed. What did I do wrong? When did I stop being enough for her? but deep down I already knew the truth. And no matter how much I loved her, I couldn't save someone who didn't want to be saved. I wasn't sure how much longer I could pretend everything was okay. Then came the one night that changed everything. I had been waiting up for hours, staring at the clock, listening to the sound of cars passing by outside. It wasn't the first time Sophie had come home late, but something about this night felt different. When I finally heard the door open, I exhaled, trying to steady my emotions. I didn't want to argue. I was too exhausted for another fight. She walked in, stumbling slightly. The smell of alcohol hit me before I even turned to look at her. She barely acknowledged me, tossing her bag onto the couch and kicking off her shoes. I swallowed my frustration and asked, "Sophie, do you even realize what you're doing? This isn't just about coming home late. You're pushing me away. I've been patient, but you're not acting like a married woman anymore." She rolled her eyes like I had just told her the most ridiculous thing in the world. Then, with a lazy smirk, she laughed. "Oh, please," she scoffed. "You think I need you? Do you really think you're that special? Plenty of men want me. If you leave, I'll replace you the next day." I felt my chest tighten, but I didn't let it show. She wasn't done. She straightened up. "I'm done living by your rules. I'm done living by anyone's rules. This is my life, and neither you nor society is going to tell me how to live it. I'm in my baby girl era now, Lucas. Either deal with it or don't." That was it. That was the moment I knew I had lost her. Or maybe she had lost me. I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I didn't beg her to see reason. What was the point? She had already decided who she wanted to be, and it wasn't the woman I had married. So I did the only thing left to do. I'll let her have the life she wanted, and I'll walk away. The next morning, I searched and made a call to the best divorce lawyer in town. I wasn't interested in dragging things out or making her life difficult. I just wanted a clean break. The legal process moved fast. Since we had no kids, and I wasn't about to fight over furniture or shared bank accounts, things were settled without much back and forth. I didn't care about what was fair or unfair. I just wanted out. I didn't even show up for the final meeting. I let my lawyer handle everything. And once the papers were signed, I did exactly what I had promised myself I would do. I disappeared. No calls. No texts. No long emotional messages. I was just gone. At first, she didn't seem to care. If anything, she looked relieved. She convinced herself that this was her fresh start, her chance to finally be free. I saw glimpses of it on social media. Pictures of her out with friends, drinks in hand, living it up like she was celebrating a victory. Her posts were filled with captions about new beginnings and knowing your worth. And for a while it seemed like she had moved on without a second thought. She jumped back into the dating scene almost immediately. And, of course, there were plenty of men eager to entertain her. But something was different now. She wasn't the prize she thought she was. Sure, she got attention, but it wasn't the kind she had expected. The men who chased after her weren't looking for commitment, just a good time. And the ones who were ready for something serious? They weren't the kind of men she wanted. I wasn't there to witness it firsthand, but I heard things. She cycled through relationships quickly, jumping from one guy to the next, never finding anything that lasted. One by one, they all left. The attention she had once thrived on started feeling hollow and meaningless. Slowly, The confidence she once flaunted began to crack. For the first time, she was alone. Not by choice, not for self-discovery, but because she had pushed away the one person who actually loved her. How did I know? Remember, we had mutual friends who still speak with her. And as for me, I wasn't looking back. After the divorce, I had a choice to make. I could have jumped into another relationship, looking for someone to fill the void. I could have drowned myself in meaningless flings, distractions, and temporary highs. But I knew that wasn't the answer, and that wasn't what I wanted. I had spent too long losing myself in a marriage where I was unseen. Now it was time to choose me. So I did. I threw myself into my business as a way to rebuild. I put my energy into growing what I had built from the ground up, making it stronger, and expanding it further. Work wasn't just work anymore. It was a reminder that I was capable and that I had a purpose outside of being someone's husband. Slowly, I started seeing results. My business took off in ways I never imagined, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was in control of my life again. At the same time, I focused on my health, both physically and mentally. I hit the gym because I wanted to feel strong again. I started paying attention to eating better, sleeping better, and taking care of myself in ways I had neglected for years. I accepted that some people will never appreciate you, no matter how much you give. I refused to settle for anything that didn't add real value to my life. I wasn't going to let loneliness trick me into running back to what was familiar, or into chasing relationships that weren't right for me. I learned to be alone without feeling lonely. I became comfortable in my own company, something I hadn't felt in a long time. Slowly, I flourished. And that, more than anything, was my greatest win. It had been years since I last saw Sophie. That day, I was just running errands, picking up a few things from a department store when it happened. I turned a corner, and there she was, Sophie, standing just a few feet away, holding a shopping bag, staring at me like she had seen a ghost. For a second, I almost didn't recognize her. She still looked good. She always took care of her appearance. Her eyes scanned me. Lucas. She finally spoke, her voice unsure, almost hesitant. I nodded, offering a polite smile. Hey, Sophie. Been a while. She let out a nervous laugh, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Wow, you look different. I shrugged. Yeah, life's been good. She started asking questions, trying to keep the conversation going. How have you been? What have you been up to? I answered casually, never giving her too much, keeping it light. I wasn't rude, but I also wasn't giving her what she was hoping for. I had no idea what was going through her mind. After a few more minutes of small talk, she smiled unsure. Maybe we could catch up sometime? I smiled back. Yeah, maybe. I knew we wouldn't. Because of that chapter of my life was closed. Days after that encounter, she reached out. It started with a simple message, one of those casual, "Hey, it was nice seeing you the other day" texts. I hesitated before responding, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. Against my better judgment, I replied. From there, the conversation slowly picked up. Nothing deep, nothing emotional, just small talk. Catching up. Nostalgia creeping in, filling the gaps where anger and resentment used to be. Over the next few weeks, we texted here and there. She would send a random message about something that reminded her of me. And despite everything, I couldn't deny it. The feelings were still there. You don't just stop loving someone overnight. But what I came to realize was that love alone wasn't enough. The trust? That was long gone. One evening, she suggested we meet up. Just dinner, just to talk. A part of me wanted to say yes. I won't lie, I was tempted. But then I stopped and asked myself a question I had been avoiding this entire time. What was the point? What was I really looking for? An apology? Some kind of explanation? A chance to fix what was already broken beyond repair? No. Deep down I knew the truth. I didn't need her to give me closure. I needed to give it to myself. So I declined. Not with bitterness, not with anger, just a simple "I don't think that's a good idea." It took me a long time to admit that I was broken. I didn't want to admit it, but Sophie had done more damage to me than I realized. Not just because she left, but because of the way she made me feel before she did. Unworthy. Replaceable. Like I was never enough. At first, I told myself I was fine. I focused on my business, worked out more, and surrounded myself with friends. But no matter how much I tried to distract myself, there was this weight in my chest that wouldn't go away. I knew if I didn't deal with it, it would follow me into every part of my life. So, I did something I never thought I would do. I went to therapy. I won't lie, at first it felt weird. Sitting there, talking to a stranger about everything I had spent years burying. But week after week, I started seeing things more clearly. I wasn't stupid for loving Sophie. I wasn't weak for trying to save my marriage. I was just a man who gave his heart to the wrong person. And that wasn't my failure, it was just a lesson I needed to learn. Healing wasn't instant. It wasn't about waking up one day and suddenly feeling free. It was about the small moments. So, I burned every bridge with Sophie. No more texts, no more small talk, no more what-ifs. And I decided that my story with her was over. Before I deleted her number, I sent one last message. Not out of anger, not out of spite. Just the truth. I wish you the best. Looking back, I used to think the only way to move on from someone who hurt you was to get even. To prove to them that they lost something valuable. But I realized something along the way. Revenge is a waste of energy. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply moving on, becoming the best version of yourself, and letting them watch from a distance. And that, my friends, is exactly what I did. That's it for today's story. Let us know what you think in the comments. Have you ever been in a situation like this? How did you handle it? If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more real-life stories. Until next time, take care.